1849. New York City. Carriages rattled through busy streets, merchants chased customers. Thousands of people went about their day, never realizing that one man in the crowd was about to make history. He didn't need a gun, he didn't need violence. All he needed was a smile and unbelievable confidence. He approached complete strangers, started a friendly conversation, smiled and shook their hands. Within minutes, they trusted him. Then he asked one unforgettable question. "Would you trust me with your watch until tomorrow?" It sounded like a strange request, yet many people agreed. They believed they were helping an honest gentleman. Meanwhile, they had just handed their valuables to a complete stranger, one that they would never see again. By the time they realized they had been tricked, William Thompson had already disappeared. When newspapers reported his crimes, they gave him a new nickname, the Confidence Man. Because he didn't steal with force, he stole by earning people's trust. Over time, those two words became shorter. Confidence Man became Con Man, a phrase still used more than 170 years later. Every con artist you've ever heard of follows the same basic idea. Gain trust, create confidence, then disappear before anyone realizes the truth. William Thompson showed the world just how powerful deception could be. But convincing strangers to hand over a watch was only the beginning. Because the next scammer didn't fool ordinary people. She fooled powerful banks into believing she was the secret daughter of one of the richest men on earth. 1902, Cleveland, Ohio. A woman walked into some of America's biggest banks claiming she was about to inherit one of the largest fortunes in the world. Her name was Cassie Chadwick. She wasn't rich or famous, but she knew one thing. People believe almost anything when money is involved. At the time, Andrew Carnegie was one of the richest men alive. Cassie claimed she was his secret, illegitimate daughter and carried forged documents to prove it. The banks believed her. They loaned her millions of dollars, expecting her to inherit Carnegie's fortune. Kathy spent the money on mansions, fine clothes, and expensive jewelry, but the lie didn't last. Investigators discovered Carnegie had never even met her. There was no secret daughter, no inheritance, and no fortune waiting. The banks had trusted a story, and that story cost them millions. Pretending to be the daughter of a billionaire was bold, but the next scammer pulled off something even more unbelievable. He convinced an entire nation he came from a distant country that never existed. 1704, London, England. A mysterious traveler arrived claiming he came from the distant island of Formosa, known today as Taiwan. His name was George Psalmanazar, or so he claimed. Since almost no one in Europe had ever met someone from Formosa, no one could expose his lie. So George invented everything. He created an entire language, fake traditions, made up religious beliefs, and bizarre stories about the island's people. The more unbelievable his claims, the more people believed them. The public was fascinated, and his best-selling book convinced thousands they were reading the true story of Formosa. But the deception couldn't last. As real travelers returned from the island, his story fell apart. The language was fake. The customs were invented. The entire tale came from his imagination. Years later, George confessed, leaving behind one of history's greatest hoaxes. But inventing a fake identity wasn't enough for the next man. He became almost everyone. A surgeon, a prison warden, a professor, even a lawyer. And somehow people believed him every time. Coming up, Ferdinand Waldo Demara, the Great Imposter. 1951, Canada. A man stepped aboard a naval ship wearing a doctor's uniform. But there was one problem. He had never studied medicine. History remembers him as the Great Imposter. Throughout his life, Ferdinand Demara became whoever he wanted to be. A professor, prison warden, a lawyer. And somehow people believed him. His most unbelievable role came during the Korean War. He posed as a naval surgeon despite having no medical degree or formal training. Then disaster struck. Wounded soldiers began arriving one after another. They needed surgery, immediately. Demara locked himself in a room, opened medical textbooks, studied as fast as he could, then walked straight into the operating room. Against all odds, he performed several operations. Remarkably, many of his patients survived. No one suspected the surgeon was an imposter. But his secret didn't stay hidden forever. A newspaper investigation exposed his true identity. The famous doctor wasn't a doctor at all. By the time he was exposed, Demara had lived dozens of different lives, each more unbelievable than the last. Pretending to be a doctor takes extraordinary confidence. But the next schemer didn't fool hospitals. She fooled New York's richest people. Her name was Anna Delvey. 2013, New York City. In a city filled with millionaires, one young woman convinced everyone she belonged among them. Her name was Anna Delvey, or so she claimed. She told people she was a wealthy German heiress with a fortune worth more than $60 million. She wore designer clothes, stayed in luxury hotels, ate at the finest restaurants, and surrounded herself with New York's elite. She looked exactly like someone born into wealth. Anna had a dream. She wanted to build an exclusive private arts club. To make it happen, she needed millions of dollars. And there was just one problem: she didn't have them. She approached banks claiming her trust fund was tied up overseas. They simply needed to wait a little longer. Some believed her. But cracks began to appear. Credit cards were declined. Bills went unpaid. Friends who covered her expenses never got their money back. The glamorous lifestyle was beginning to fall apart. In 2017, her world collapsed. She was arrested and charged with fraud. The woman who claimed to be an heiress had built her entire life on lies. Her story made headlines around the world. Books were written, television series followed. People couldn't believe how easily she had fooled New York's wealthiest circles. Pretending to be rich is one thing, because next you're about to meet a man who sold the Brooklyn Bridge. Not once, but over and over again. Imagine buying one of the world's most famous bridges, only to discover you never owned it. Meet George C. Parker, one of history's greatest con artists. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, he convinced tourists and immigrants that the Brooklyn Bridge was for sale. Victims paid thousands of dollars, believing they could collect tolls from everyone who crossed. Some even arrived with workers ready to build toll booths, until police stopped them. Parker didn't just sell the bridge once, he sold it over and over again. His scams became so legendary that his name is still remembered today as a symbol of fraud. George C. Parker eventually landed in prison, but his unbelievable cons made history forever. Meet India's most legendary con artist, a charming man who walked through crowded markets with nothing but confidence. By the time he left, someone had usually lost a fortune. His real name was Mithilesh Kumar Srivastava, but history remembers him as Natwarlal. He mastered the art of forgery, creating documents that looked completely real. He didn't rob banks. He earned people's trust, then disappeared before they realized they had been deceived. Some claimed he sold the Taj Mahal more than once. Others believed he even sold the Red Fort in India's parliament. Whether every story is true is still debated. Police caught him again and again, yet somehow he always escaped. Then one day he vanished. No one knows how his story really ended. Next, meet Frank Bourassa of the Counterfeit King. Most counterfeit money is easy to spot. Wrong paper, poor printing, fake security marks. But one man changed the game. His name was Frank Bourassa. He wanted to create the perfect counterfeit money. For years, he studied every detail of the US $20 bill. Eventually, his fake money became so convincing that even experts struggled to tell the difference. Authorities believed hundreds of millions had entered circulation, one of the largest counterfeit operations in modern history. When Frank surrendered, investigators found millions of fake dollars had been destroyed. A fortune that was never real went up in flames. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. If you enjoy history videos like this, like and subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, be safe out there.